Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to Harry's, your story destination. We have an absolute treat for you today. What if Harry found a time turner at age 8 and traveled back to save his parents? If you're enjoying these stories, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support keeps the stories coming. With that said, let the adventure begin. Chapter 1, The Golden Hour. Harry Potter hated Sundays. Actually, he hated most days at number 4, Privet Drive, but Sundays had a special kind of awfulness. Uncle Vernon would spend hours reading the newspaper, commenting loudly on hooligans and troublemakers, while glaring at Harry as if he personally represented both categories. Aunt Petunia would clean obsessively, which meant twice as many chores for Harry. And Dudley, bored without school to provide him with bullying opportunities, focused all his energy on making Harry's life miserable. This particular Sunday in July 1988 was even worse than usual. Harry had just turned 8 the previous day, not that anyone had acknowledged it. He sat in his cupboard under the stairs, nursing a sore arm where Dudley had twisted it behind his back until Harry nearly cried. He hadn't given his cousin the satisfaction. "Boy! Get out here and weed the garden before the neighbors see what a jungle it's become." Aunt Petunia's shrill voice pierced through the small door. Harry sighed and pushed his taped-together glasses up his nose. "Coming, Aunt Petunia." The summer heat hit him like a wall when he stepped into the backyard. Sweat immediately beaded on his forehead as he dropped to his knees beside the flower bed. His stomach growled. Breakfast had been a single piece of toast because he'd looked at Dudley funny during his cousin's morning cartoons. As he yanked at stubborn weeds, Harry's mind drifted to the dream he'd had the night before. A woman with kind green eyes, his eyes, had been singing softly to him. A man with messy black hair had laughed and made colorful sparks appear from a wooden stick. The dream felt more like a memory, but that was impossible. His parents had died in a car crash when he was a baby. That's what the Dursleys always told him, anyway. "Mom. Dad." Harry whispered, testing the words that he never got to say aloud. Something strange happened then. The air around his hands seemed to shimmer. For a second, the weeds he was touching wilted and died instantly, as if time had accelerated around them. Harry jerked back, startled. Weird things happened around him sometimes, his hair growing back overnight after Aunt Petunia butchered it, somehow ending up on the school roof while running from Dudley's gang, a teacher's wig turning blue. Each incident had earned him harsh punishments and lengthy stays in his cupboard. "What are you doing now, boy?" Uncle Vernon's voice boomed from the back door. "Petunia. Come look at what he's done to your petunias." Harry looked down in horror. Not just the weeds, but an entire section of Aunt Petunia's prized flowers had withered to brown husks. "I didn't," Harry began, but knew it was useless. Uncle Vernon's face had already achieved that particular shade of purple that meant trouble. Inside. Now. 10 minutes later, Harry was back in his cupboard with a throbbing cheek where Uncle Vernon had cuffed him and the promise of no meals for the rest of the day. Tears pricked at his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. Crying never helped. "I wish I had parents," he whispered fiercely into the darkness. "Real parents who'd want me." The air in the cramped space seemed to thicken. Harry felt a strange pressure building around him, like the feeling before a thunderstorm. His skin tingled with electricity. Then, with a soft golden flash, something appeared on his threadbare blanket. Harry blinked in disbelief. A small hourglass-shaped object hung on a delicate golden chain. It wasn't like any hourglass he'd seen before. Instead of sand, something that looked like liquid light swirled inside. The tiny hourglass was contained within several spinning golden rings. "What the?" Harry whispered, cautiously picking up the strange object. The moment his fingers touched it, a jolt ran through his body. Images flashed through his mind. A castle, a flying motorcycle, a blinding green light, a high cold laugh. Harry dropped the object like it had burned him. For several minutes, he just stared at the golden hourglass, his heart racing. It had appeared out of nowhere. That wasn't normal. But then again, nothing about Harry's life had ever been normal. Curiosity finally overcame caution. Harry picked it up again, more carefully this time. The spinning rings moved at his touch, and he noticed tiny markings around the edges, not numbers exactly, but symbols he couldn't recognize. "What are you?" he murmured, turning it over in his hands. As if responding to his question, the liquid light inside the hourglass pulsed brightly once. Harry nearly dropped it again but held tight. Something deep inside told him this object was important, maybe even meant for him. Over the next few days, Harry experimented with the golden hourglass whenever he was alone in his cupboard. He discovered that spinning the outer ring made the inner hourglass rotate. When he turned it once, nothing seemed to happen. But one night, when the Dursleys were watching television, he turned it 3 times in quick succession. The sensation was immediate and terrifying. Harry felt like he was being yanked backward by an invisible hook. His cupboard blurred around him, and he saw shadowy figures moving at impossible speeds, the Dursleys, rushing back and forth like a videotape on rewind. When everything stopped spinning, Harry found himself still in his cupboard, but something had changed. The small toy soldier he'd stolen from Dudley's room and hidden under his pillow that morning was gone. Outside, he could hear Uncle Vernon complaining about a different television show than he'd been watching minutes earlier. Harry's heart pounded. Had he imagined it? Carefully, he cracked open his cupboard door and peered at the clock in the hallway. 3 hours earlier than it had been. "I went back in time," he whispered, excitement and fear battling in his chest. I actually went back in time. Over the following weeks, Harry continued his secret experiments. He learned that each turn of the hourglass sent him back exactly 1 hour. He discovered he could move around freely in the past but had to be careful not to be seen by his earlier self. A close call with past Harry in the backyard had nearly given him a heart attack and created a pounding headache that lasted for hours. The possibilities were endless. He could redo failed chores, avoid Dudley's worst bullying, and even sneak second helpings of meals. But a far more important idea was taking shape in his mind. If he could go back hours, could he go back years? The answer came unexpectedly while Harry was dusting the living room shelves. Aunt Petunia was on the phone with one of her gossipy friends, speaking in hushed tones. "Yes, it'll be 7 years this Halloween," she was saying. "The anniversary of the car crash, when my sister and that useless husband of hers got themselves killed and landed us with the boy." Harry froze, duster still in hand. Halloween. His parents had died on Halloween. And this was July, which meant, just over 7 years ago. But more importantly, he now had a date. That night in his cupboard, Harry held the golden hourglass with trembling fingers. If 1 turn equaled 1 hour, then to go back 7 years, he would need to turn it, he calculated quickly. 61,368 times. That was impossible. But something told him there had to be another way. He examined the device more closely than ever before, noticing that the outermost ring had different markings than the others. Instead of the strange symbols, this ring had tiny notches, 365 of them, he counted carefully. 1 for each day of the year. What if? He whispered, turning the outer ring to align with the innermost symbol. The hourglass began to vibrate subtly. The liquid light inside swirled faster. Heart racing, Harry carefully turned the outermost ring 1 complete rotation. Then another. And another. He counted 7 full rotations, 7 years, and then added 3 more months to reach Halloween. The device was now humming audibly, the light within pulsating urgently. This was different from his previous attempts. Deeper. More powerful. Harry took a deep breath. He wasn't sure exactly what he was doing or if it would work. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty: whatever waited for him back in 1981 had to be better than this life of neglect and loneliness. "I'm coming, Mom and Dad," he whispered, and turned the central hourglass once. The world dissolved around him. This wasn't like his previous time jumps. The sensation was 1,000 times more intense. Harry felt like he was being torn apart and compressed simultaneously. Colors, sounds, and sensations bombarded him from all directions. He couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't scream. Then, just as suddenly, everything stopped. Harry found himself sprawled on cool grass, the night air crisp around him. The golden hourglass was hot in his hand, the light inside now a dim flicker. His entire body ached, and his head throbbed painfully. Slowly, he sat up and looked around. He was in a small village he'd never seen before. Cozy cottages lined a narrow street, with autumn decorations adorning many doors. Jack-o'-lanterns grinned from windowsills. In the distance, a church bell tolled 9 times. Harry scrambled to his feet, his heart racing. Had it worked? Was this 1981? And if so, where were his parents? A sign on the nearby corner read, Godric's Hollow. The name sent a strange tingle down Harry's spine, like a half-remembered dream. He knew this place somehow. Moving on instinct, Harry began walking down the street. Despite never having been here before, his feet seemed to know where to go. He turned a corner, then another, until he came to a small cottage set back from the road. Unlike the other houses, this one had no Halloween decorations. But warm light spilled from the windows, and through one of them, Harry could see movement inside. Gathering his courage, he crept closer, staying in the shadows. When he reached the garden gate, he peered through the front window. What he saw made his heart stop. A man with untidy black hair sat on a couch, laughing as he held up a baby who was giggling delightfully. The man's glasses glinted in the lamplight, and even from a distance, Harry could see the baby had the same unruly hair. A woman entered the room, her dark red hair falling around a kind face. She said something to the man, who nodded and passed the baby to her. When she turned, Harry gasped. Her eyes, they were exactly like his. Mom. Dad. He whispered, his voice breaking. The baby in the woman's arms was him. Baby Harry, not even a year old, safe and happy with his parents the day before everything would go wrong. Tears streamed down Harry's face. He'd done it. He'd actually gone back in time. And now he had a chance to save them. But how? What exactly was he supposed to do? Warn them? About what? He didn't even know how his parents had really died. The Dursleys' car crash story had always seemed suspicious. As Harry stood frozen in indecision, a twig snapped behind him. He whirled around to find himself face to face with a young man with long dark hair and intense gray eyes. Who the hell are you? The man demanded, pointing what looked like a wooden stick at Harry's chest. And what are you doing spying on the Potters? Harry's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. The stick, was that a wand? Was magic real? Somehow, this didn't surprise him as much as it should have. I asked you a question, the man growled, taking a step closer. Better answer quickly before I decide you're up to no good. I'm Harry, he finally managed. The man's eyes narrowed. Harry what? Harry Potter. The wand didn't lower, but confusion flashed across the man's face. That's not funny, kid. Harry Potter is inside that house, and he's about 11 months old. I know, Harry said, finding his courage. I'm him. From the future. I came back to save my parents. For a moment, the man just stared at him. Then he barked a laugh that held no humor. Right. And I'm Merlin himself. Nice try, but, he broke off, studying Harry's face more closely. His eyes widened as they fixed on Harry's forehead. Harry reached up self-consciously to touch the lightning-shaped scar that had been there for as long as he could remember. That scar. The man whispered. And your eyes. They're my mother's eyes, Harry said quietly. The man lowered his wand slightly. This is impossible. So is traveling back in time 7 years, but I did that too. Harry gestured to the golden hourglass still clutched in his hand. The man's gaze dropped to the object. A time turner? But they can't, he shook his head, seeming to reconsider. Listen, kid, I don't know what game you're playing, but it's not a game. Harry interrupted, desperation making his voice crack. They're going to die tomorrow night. I don't know how or why, but I know it happens on Halloween. Please, you have to believe me. Something in Harry's voice must have reached the man, because his expression changed. He glanced toward the house, then back at Harry, conflict clear on his face. What's your name? Harry asked, suddenly realizing he didn't know who this man was. The man hesitated, then said, Sirius Black. I'm your godfather. Harry's eyes widened. I have a godfather. The Dursleys never told me that. The who? Sirius asked sharply. My aunt and uncle. I live with them after my parents die. Sirius's face darkened. Petunia and her walrus husband. Why in Merlin's name would you be sent to them? Before Harry could answer, the front door of the cottage opened. The man Harry had seen through the window, his father, stepped out, wand raised. Padfoot? Everything all right? He called. I thought I heard voices. Sirius, Padfoot, turned, keeping himself between Harry and the house. James, I think you need to come here. James Potter approached cautiously, his wand still ready. What's going on? Who's the kid? That's complicated, Sirius said. But I think you should hear him out. James looked at Harry properly for the first time, and Harry saw the exact moment when his father noticed the resemblance. James's wand hand faltered, his mouth dropping open slightly. Who are you? James asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Harry swallowed hard. I'm Harry Potter. Your son. From 1988. The silence that followed was deafening. James stared at Harry as if he were seeing a ghost. Then he called over his shoulder, never taking his eyes off Harry, Lily. You need to come out here. Now. Moments later, Lily Potter appeared in the doorway, baby Harry in her arms. James. What's wrong? Keep Harry inside and come here, James said, his voice tight. Lily frowned but retreated inside briefly. When she returned without the baby, she hurried to James's side. Sirius? What's happening? Who's this? Harry's eyes filled with tears at the sound of his mother's voice. This was the woman from his dreams, the one who had sung to him. She was real, and she was alive, and she was even more beautiful than he had imagined. He says. James began, then stopped, seeming unable to continue. I'm your son, Harry said, looking directly at Lily. From the future. I came back because you're in danger. You and Dad and baby me, you're all going to die tomorrow night if we don't stop it. Lily's hand flew to her mouth. She looked from Harry to James to Sirius, clearly seeking some explanation that made more sense than this impossible claim. He has a time turner, Sirius said, nodding to the device in Harry's hand. And Lily, look at his eyes. Lily stepped closer, and Harry stood perfectly still as she studied his face. Her own green eyes, the ones he saw in the mirror every day, widened in shock. This isn't possible, she whispered. But the denial in her words was at odds with the dawning recognition in her expression. I know it sounds crazy, Harry said. But I'm telling the truth. The Dursleys told me you died in a car crash, but that never made sense. Weird things always happen around me, like magic. And then I found this. He held up the golden hourglass. And I just knew I had to come back to save you. A car crash. James repeated incredulously. Lily and I would never, he broke off, running a hand through his already messy hair in a gesture so familiar that Harry felt a jolt of recognition. He did the same thing when he was upset. Perhaps we should continue this conversation inside, Lily said, her practical nature asserting itself despite the impossibility of the situation. She looked up and down the street. We're too exposed out here. James nodded stiffly. You're right. Come on, Harry. The four of them moved toward the house, but just before they reached the door, Lily stopped suddenly. Wait. How do we know this isn't some sort of trap? You know who has tried to get to us before. Ask me something only your son would know, Harry suggested. James and Lily exchanged looks. That wouldn't work, James said. Our Harry is just a baby. He doesn't know anything that a spy couldn't find out. Harry thought quickly. What about the future? I could tell you something that happens later. That might work, Sirius said. Something specific that no one could guess. Harry racked his brain. What could he tell them that would be convincing? Most of his life with the Dursleys was mundane misery, hardly the stuff of unguessable secrets. When I was 6, he began, Aunt Petunia cut off all my hair because she was tired of it sticking up everywhere. She left just a bit at the front to cover my scar. He touched his forehead again. But the next morning, it had all grown back exactly the same as before. She locked me in my cupboard for a week. James and Lily exchanged startled glances. Cupboard? Lily repeated sharply. Harry nodded. The cupboard under the stairs. That's where I sleep. A flash of anger crossed Lily's face. Petunia puts my son in a cupboard. She turned to James. That settles it for me. No spy could invent something so perfectly in character for my sister. James still looked uncertain. But time travel of this magnitude, it's not supposed to be possible. Let's get inside, Sirius urged. We can sort this out where it's safer. They entered the cottage, and Harry tried not to stare at everything. This was his parents' home. This was where he should have grown up. The living room was cozy and lived in, with moving photographs on the walls that made Harry blink in surprise. Magic is real, he breathed, watching a picture of his parents dancing together. Lily gave him a sad look. You didn't know? Harry shook his head. The Dursleys hate anything abnormal. They never told me. James's jaw tightened. Lily, I swear, if Petunia and that walrus, later, Lily said firmly. She turned to Harry. You say we're in danger tomorrow night. What happens? Harry hesitated. I don't really know the details. Just that you both die on Halloween, and I end up with the Dursleys. And I have this. He pushed his hair back to fully reveal the lightning scar. Lily gasped softly. That's no ordinary scar. It hurts sometimes, Harry offered. And I have nightmares about a green light and someone laughing. The adults exchanged dark looks. Avada Kedavra, Sirius muttered. The killing curse. But that would mean. James trailed off, his face pale. You know who finds us, Lily finished. Harry frowned. Who's you know who? There was a moment of stunned silence. You don't know about Vol, about you know who? James asked incredulously. Harry shook his head. The Dursleys never tell me anything. Lily sat down on the couch, looking suddenly exhausted. He's the dark wizard who's been trying to kill us. We're in hiding under the Fidelius charm. No one can find this house unless the secret keeper tells them where it is. But someone does find you, Harry said. Tomorrow night. That's impossible, Sirius growled. Unless. His face drained of color. Unless the secret keeper betrays you. James stared at his friend. Peter would never, Peter. Harry interrupted. Who's Peter? Peter Pettigrew, Lily explained. Our friend. He's our secret keeper. Harry committed the name to memory. Peter Pettigrew. The man responsible for his parents' deaths. We need to move, James said decisively. Now. Tonight. If what Harry is saying is true, we can't stay here. But where would we go? Lily asked. The Fidelius was our best protection. My place, Sirius offered immediately. We can set up new wards. Or Hogwarts, Dumbledore would take you in. Dumbledore, Harry repeated. The name sounded vaguely familiar, like something he might have overheard the Dursleys mention and dismiss. Albus Dumbledore, Lily said. He's the headmaster at Hogwarts, the wizarding school. He's been helping protect us. A cry came from upstairs, baby Harry awakening. Lily rose to go to him, but hesitated, looking at older Harry with an expression he couldn't quite read. Go ahead, he said. I'm okay. Lily nodded and hurried upstairs. Harry watched her go, a lump in his throat. Her voice, her movements, her expressions, he was committing every detail to memory. James sat across from Harry, studying him intently. This is a lot to take in. I know, Harry said. I can hardly believe it myself. 1 minute I was in my cupboard at the Dursleys, the next I'm here. Why did you come back? James asked. I mean, why now? Why alone? Harry shrugged helplessly. I just found the time turner. I didn't even know what it was called until Sirius said it. And once I figured out how to use it and heard Aunt Petunia mention when you died. I had to try. I've been wishing for parents my whole life. Something in James's expression cracked at that. He ran a hand over his face. Merlin, this is. I know it's weird, Harry said. Seeing me when baby me is upstairs. But I had to warn you. Lily returned, carrying baby Harry, who was rubbing his eyes sleepily. He wouldn't settle down, she explained. I think he senses something's happening. Harry stared at his baby self in wonder. Baby Harry stared right back, his identical green eyes wide with curiosity. That's so strange, Sirius muttered, looking between the two Harrys. Baby Harry reached out a chubby hand toward his older counterpart, making a questioning sound. Hi, little me, Harry said softly. To everyone's surprise, baby Harry smiled and babbled something that sounded remarkably like, "Ha-wi." He recognizes you, Lily said, amazed. Somehow, he knows you're him. Magic always knows, James said. Even if our brains can't make sense of it. He straightened suddenly. We need to contact Dumbledore. He'll know what to do about this. Sirius shook his head. We can't risk it. If Peter has turned, if he's really going to betray you to Voldemort tomorrow, then we can't trust anyone until we figure this out. But Dumbledore, James began. No, Sirius is right, Lily interrupted. We need to be cautious. And the first priority is getting somewhere safe. Tonight. What about this Peter person? Harry asked. If he's the one who's going to tell this you-know-who where to find you, shouldn't we do something about him? The adults exchanged uncomfortable glances. We don't know for certain that Peter betrays us, James said, but he didn't sound convinced. It's just, if what you're saying is true, someone has to tell Voldemort where to find us, and only Peter can do that. Unless someone tortured it out of him, Sirius suggested, though he didn't sound like he believed it. We need to pack, Lily said decisively. Just essentials. Then we'll go to. She faltered. My family has a cottage in Cornwall, James said. It's not under the Fidelius, but it has old protective magic. We could go there for a night or two while we sort this out. Lily nodded. I'll get our things and the emergency bag. She passed baby Harry to James and hurried upstairs. James bounced his son gently, looking at Harry with an expression that was part wonder, part fear. So, you're 8? Harry nodded. Just turned 8 last week. July 31st. James smiled slightly. We had a big party planned for your first birthday. Sirius bought you a toy broomstick. He loved it, Sirius added. Nearly killed the cat zooming around on it. A flying broomstick. Harry's eyes widened. So all those stories are true. Witches and wizards really fly on brooms. James's smile faded. You really don't know anything about our world, do you? Harry shook his head. The Dursleys punish me whenever anything freakish happens. They hate magic, I guess. Not that they ever called it that. James's jaw tightened again. I'm starting to understand why Lily never got along with her sister. Lily returned with a small bag. I've packed the essentials. We should go now. How are we traveling? Sirius asked. Apparition is too risky with the boys. Floo network is being watched, James said. Portkey. Lily suggested. I can create an unauthorized one. The Ministry won't detect it immediately. James nodded. Do it. As Lily set to work casting complex spells on an old shoe, Harry sidled closer to Sirius. How do you know my parents? He asked quietly. Sirius glanced down at him. James and I have been best friends since our first day at Hogwarts. I'm your godfather. He hesitated, then added, What happened to me? In your time. You said you lived with the Dursleys, not me. Harry shrugged. I didn't even know I had a godfather until you told me just now. The Dursleys never mentioned you. Something dark passed across Sirius's face. That doesn't make sense. If James and Lily, if something happened to them, I should have been the one to raise you. Before Harry could respond, Lily called, It's ready. Everyone gather round and touch the portkey. Quickly now. Harry moved toward the old shoe Lily held out. What's a portkey? Magical transportation, James explained hurriedly, shifting baby Harry in his arms. It'll feel strange the first time. Just hold on tight to the shoe, and don't let go until we've landed. Harry reached out and put a finger on the battered shoe. Sirius and James did the same, James making sure baby Harry's hand was touching it as well. On 3, Lily said. 1, 2. A thunderous crash interrupted her as the front door exploded inward. Get down! James yelled, shoving Lily and baby Harry toward the kitchen. Harry froze in terror as a tall, cloaked figure stepped through the shattered doorway. The person, if it was a person, had a pale, snake-like face with glowing red eyes. Just the sight of him made Harry's scar burn painfully. Potter, the figure hissed. How predictable. Always thinking you can escape. Voldemort, Sirius snarled, stepping in front of Harry protectively. How did you find this place? The snake-faced man, Voldemort, smiled coldly. Let's just say your little friend Pettigrew is more eager to please than you realized. You're lying, James said, but his voice wavered. Peter wouldn't he? Are you so sure, Potter? Voldemort's gaze shifted, landing on Harry. His red eyes widened slightly. What's this? An illusion? Or have you been keeping secrets? Harry's scar felt like it was on fire. He pressed a hand to his forehead, trying not to cry out from the pain. Voldemort took a step closer, his expression curious now. The boy reacts to me. How interesting. And he looks familiar. Stay away from him, James growled, moving to stand beside Sirius. Lily had vanished into the kitchen with baby Harry. Harry hoped they were escaping somehow, even as he felt rooted to the spot in terror. 2 James Potters. Voldemort mused. No, something else. His red eyes narrowed as they fixed on Harry's scar. What magic is this? Now, Sirius! James suddenly shouted. Sirius grabbed Harry around the waist and dove to the side just as James fired a spell at Voldemort. The dark wizard deflected it easily, but it provided the distraction they needed. The portkey! Sirius yelled, scrambling toward where the shoe had fallen. Harry spotted it under the coffee table and lunged for it. His fingers closed around the worn leather just as a blast of green light shot over his head. Avada Kedavra! Voldemort roared. The spell missed Harry by inches and hit the wall behind him, leaving a scorched hole. James, the portkey! Sirius shouted. Harry saw his father backing toward them, firing spell after spell to keep Voldemort at bay. Where was his mother? Where was baby Harry? Lily took the baby and disapparated, James called, as if reading Harry's mind. We need to go. Harry held out the shoe, and James made a desperate lunge for it. His fingers brushed the leather at the same moment Sirius grabbed it firmly. Portus! James gasped. Harry felt a jerk behind his navel, and the world dissolved into a whirlwind of color and sound. The last thing he saw was Voldemort's furious face as they were pulled away into nothingness. The landing was rough. Harry tumbled onto hard ground, the breath knocked from his lungs. He lay there gasping, trying to understand what had just happened. Harry? Are you all right? That was Sirius's voice, tense with concern. I think so, Harry managed, sitting up slowly. They were in a field, with a small stone cottage visible in the distance. The night was clear and cold, stars blinking overhead. James? Sirius called. James, where are you? There was no answer. Harry looked around frantically, but his father was nowhere to be seen. He didn't make it, Harry whispered, horror dawning. The portkey activated before he got a proper grip. Sirius's face was pale in the moonlight. He must still be back there. With Voldemort. We have to go back. Harry cried, jumping to his feet. We have to help him. The portkey was one way, Sirius said grimly. He gripped Harry's shoulders. Listen to me. Lily and baby you got away. They'll be heading to our emergency meeting point. We need to join them. But my dad, James can handle himself, Sirius said with more confidence than his eyes showed. He's one of the best duelers I know. He'll find a way out. Harry wasn't convinced, but what choice did they have? He nodded reluctantly. Let's get to the cottage first, Sirius said. I need to send a Patronus message to Lily. They set off across the field toward the stone building. Harry's mind was reeling. In less than an hour, his entire understanding of the world had been upended. Magic was real. His parents hadn't died in a car crash. And now he'd come face to face with the dark wizard who would have killed them, who might still kill his father. Sirius, he said as they walked, who exactly is Voldemort? Why is he trying to kill us? Sirius sighed heavily. That's a long story, Harry. The short version is he's the darkest wizard in a century. He's been terrorizing magical Britain for years, killing anyone who opposes him. Your parents joined a secret group fighting against him, and that made them targets. But there's more to it than that. What do you mean? There was a prophecy, Sirius said reluctantly. I don't know the exact wording, but it has something to do with you, baby you, being able to defeat Voldemort. That's why he's hunting you specifically. Harry stopped walking. Me? But I'm nobody. Sirius looked at him with a strange expression. You've never been just anything, Harry. And the fact that you're here now, that you somehow came back in time to warn your parents, that's pretty extraordinary, don't you think? They reached the cottage, and Sirius tapped his wand on the door in a complicated pattern. It swung open to reveal a dusty but intact interior. James's family used to vacation here, Sirius explained as they entered. No one's been here in years, but the protective charms should still be active. He moved to the center of the main room and raised his wand. Expecto Patronum. A brilliant silver dog erupted from the tip of his wand. It pranced around the room once, then stood at attention before Sirius. Find Lily, Sirius told it. Tell her, Harry and I are at the Cornwall cottage. James didn't make it through. Voldemort found us at Godric's Hollow. Peter betrayed us. Stay where you are. I'll come to you when it's safe. The silver dog nodded and bounded away, passing through the wall as if it were smoke. What was that? Harry asked, amazed. A Patronus, Sirius said. It's a spell that can carry messages. Only Order members know how to do it that way. Order. The Order of the Phoenix. The group fighting against Voldemort. Harry sank into a dusty armchair, suddenly exhausted. The events of the day, was it still the same day, were catching up with him. What happens now? He asked. Sirius ran a hand through his long hair. We wait for Lily to respond. Then we figure out our next move. We need to find James if he got away. And if he didn't? Harry's voice was small. Sirius didn't answer for a long moment. Then we make sure his sacrifice wasn't in vain. We keep you and Lily safe, and we find a way to end Voldemort once and for all. Harry touched his scar thoughtfully. According to Sirius, this mark somehow connected him to Voldemort's demise. But how? He was just a kid. He didn't know any magic. He couldn't defeat a powerful dark wizard. Sirius, he said suddenly, when I saw Voldemort, my scar hurt. Really badly. Why would that happen? Sirius frowned. I don't know. Curse scars can have strange properties, but that sounds unusual. A silvery light interrupted them as a Doe Patronus bounded into the room. Lily's voice emanated from it, we're safe at Bathilda's. Baby is unharmed. Any word from James? Don't come yet, could be watched. Wait for my signal. Sirius's shoulders slumped in relief. They're okay. Bathilda Bagshot is an old friend of Dumbledore's. They'll be safe there. What about my dad? Harry pressed. I don't know, Sirius admitted. But we can't go back to Godric's Hollow. Voldemort could still be there, or he could have set a trap. So we just wait. Harry couldn't keep the frustration from his voice. Sirius nodded grimly. For now, yes. I'm sorry, Harry. This isn't how things were supposed to go. Harry looked down at the time turner, still clutched in his hand. The golden device seemed dimmer now, the liquid light inside barely moving. I think I broke it, he said. When we came back in time. It's not working right anymore. Sirius examined the time turner carefully. These aren't meant for long-distance time travel. The fact that it worked at all is incredible. But yes, I think it's burned out. Which means I'm stuck here, Harry finished. In 1981. The implications hit him suddenly. He would never return to 1988. Never see the Dursleys again. Never go back to his old school or the cupboard under the stairs. And somehow, that didn't feel like a loss at all. Is that okay? Sirius asked, watching him closely. Being stuck here? Harry nodded. This is where I want to be. With my family. If they're still alive. We'll find James, Sirius promised. And we'll keep all of you safe. Whatever it takes. A sound outside made them both freeze. Footsteps on the path to the cottage. Sirius motioned for Harry to get behind him. He raised his wand toward the door, his face set in grim determination. The footsteps stopped. Then came a knock, 3 quick taps, a pause, 2 more taps. Sirius's eyes widened in recognition. It can't be. Who is it? Harry whispered. That's James's knock. Our signal from school. Sirius approached the door cautiously. Who's there? He called. It's me, Padfoot. The voice was strained but unmistakable to Harry's ears. His father. Prove it, Sirius demanded. What form does your Patronus take? A stag, came the reply. And yours is a dog. And the last time we got drunk together, you confessed you had a crush on McGonagall in 5th year. Sirius grinned and yanked open the door. James Potter stood there, his clothes torn and singed, a cut bleeding on his cheek, but very much alive. "Dad!" Harry cried, rushing forward. James caught him in a tight hug, wincing slightly. "I'm okay, Harry. I got away." "How?" Sirius asked, closing the door quickly behind James. James released Harry but kept a hand on his shoulder. "Operat out once you two were gone. Splinched myself a bit, left part of my ear behind, but I made it." Harry noticed now that James's left ear was indeed missing a small piece at the top. "Voldemort?" Sirius asked tensely. "Still at the house when I left, but he won't stay long. He knows we're gone." James looked at Harry. "Where's your mother and, well, you? Baby you?" "Safe with Bat Hilda," Sirius replied. "Lily sent a Patronus." James sagged with relief. "Thank Merlin." He guided Harry to the couch and sat down heavily beside him. "This isn't exactly how I imagined this evening going." "I'm sorry," Harry said. "I didn't mean to bring Voldemort to your house. I just wanted to warn you." "Hey," James said gently, "this isn't your fault. If anything, you've saved us. If you hadn't come back, we would have stayed at Godric's Hollow, and Voldemort would have attacked tomorrow night as planned. We wouldn't have been ready." "Peter betrayed you," Harry said. "Just like I warned you." James's expression hardened. "Yes. He did. Voldemort admitted as much." "I'll kill him," Sirius growled. "Get in line," James muttered. Then, seeming to remember Harry was listening, he added, "We'll deal with Peter later. Right now, we need to focus on keeping everyone safe." "What's the plan?" Sirius asked. James ran a hand through his messy hair. "We need to contact Dumbledore. With the Fidelius broken, we need new protections. And..." He looked at Harry thoughtfully. "We need to figure out what to do about our time-traveling son." Harry tensed. "What do you mean?" "Nothing bad," James assured him quickly. "But your presence here changes things. The prophecy, the timeline, we need to understand what this means. Dumbledore will have insights. Can we trust him?" Sirius asked. "If Peter could turn." "We can trust Dumbledore," James said firmly. "He's the only one Voldemort ever feared. And he's the best chance we have of understanding what's happening here." Harry yawned suddenly, the exhaustion of the day finally catching up with him. James noticed and smiled softly. "First things first, though. You need sleep, Harry. We all do. Tomorrow we'll figure out the next steps." "But what if Voldemort finds us?" Harry asked anxiously. "The cottage has old protective magic," James explained. "Not as strong as the Fidelius, but good enough for tonight. And Sirius and I will take turns keeping watch." "I'm not tired," Harry protested, even as another yawn escaped him. James chuckled. "Sure you're not. Come on, there's a bedroom upstairs you can use." He led Harry up a narrow staircase to a small but cozy bedroom with a single bed. Harry sat on the edge of the mattress, suddenly reluctant to let his father out of his sight. "Will you be here when I wake up?" he asked in a small voice. James's expression softened. He sat beside Harry and put an arm around his shoulders. "Yes. I promise. I know this is all overwhelming, but you're not alone anymore, Harry. Your mum and I are here now, and we're not going anywhere." Harry leaned against his father's side, soaking in the warmth and solid presence he'd dreamed of his whole life. "I've wished for this so many times," he whispered. "To meet you and Mom. To have a real family." James pulled him closer. "I'm so sorry you grew up without us. That you ended up with those people." His voice hardened on the last words. "But things are going to be different now. You've changed everything by coming back. What if it doesn't work? Harry asked. What if Voldemort still finds us? Then we'll face him together, James said firmly. But I promise you this, Harry, I will do everything in my power to keep our family safe. You were brave enough to travel through time to save us. Now it's our turn to protect you. Harry nodded sleepily. The day's events, the emotional roller coaster, the time travel itself, it all crashed down on him at once. His eyes grew heavy. James seemed to notice. He helped Harry lie down and pulled a blanket over him. Get some sleep. Things will look better in the morning. As James moved to leave, Harry caught his hand. Dad? The word still felt new and wonderful on his tongue. Yes, Harry. I'm glad I found the time turner. James smiled, his hazel eyes suspiciously bright. So am I, son. So am I. As Harry drifted off to sleep, he held tight to that one perfect moment, his father calling him, son, his hand warm and real in Harry's grasp. Whatever happened next, whatever dangers Voldemort posed, Harry knew with absolute certainty that coming back had been worth it. For the first time in his memory, Harry Potter fell asleep feeling loved and protected, his heart full of hope for a future that now held the possibility of family. In his dreams, there were no green flashes, no cold laughter. Just the warm presence of his parents and the knowledge that, at long last, he was home. Chapter 2, Against Fate's Design. Harry woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a moment, panic seized him. Where was his cupboard? Then memory flooded back. The time turner. His parents. Voldemort's attack. He sat up, heart racing. Had it all been a dream? The bedroom door creaked open, and a woman with brilliant red hair peeked in. You're awake. Lily Potter smiled, her green eyes, his eyes, crinkling at the corners. How did you sleep? Mom, Harry breathed. Not a dream. Real. He scrambled out of bed and threw himself into her arms. Lily caught him, wrapping him in a hug that smelled like vanilla and safety. It's okay, she murmured, stroking his hair. I'm here. Harry pulled back, scanning her face hungrily. Where's Dad? And, baby me? Downstairs. James is making breakfast, and little Harry is quite fascinated by the fire in the hearth. She kept one arm around his shoulders as they headed toward the stairs. We have a lot to talk about. The cottage looked different in daylight, less dusty, more lived in. Someone had clearly been busy cleaning while Harry slept. When they reached the kitchen, the scene that greeted him made his heart swell almost painfully. James stood at an ancient stove, waving his wand to flip pancakes in a pan while simultaneously keeping baby Harry entertained with floating colored bubbles from the end of another wand on the counter. Baby Harry giggled and batted at them from a makeshift high chair. Look who's up, Lily announced. James turned, his face lighting up. Morning, time traveler. Hungry? Harry nodded, suddenly ravenous. When was the last time he'd eaten? Yesterday morning at the Dursleys. It felt like a lifetime ago. Sit, James instructed, sliding a stack of pancakes onto a plate. These might not be as good as your mum's, but they're edible. Barely, Sirius's voice came from the doorway. He looked exhausted but managed a wink at Harry. Your dad once turned a perfectly good cake into something that tried to eat us instead. That was one time, James protested, but he was grinning. Harry couldn't stop staring at them all, his family, together, making jokes and breakfast like any normal day. Except nothing about this was normal. Baby Harry spotted his older self and squealed, reaching out pudgy hands. He definitely recognizes you, Lily said, amazed. I've never seen him so excited about a stranger. Not a stranger, James corrected. Just Harry a few years ahead. Harry approached his younger self cautiously. Baby Harry grabbed for his glasses, nearly pulling them off. Watch it, mini-me, Harry laughed. I need those to see. Just like your father, Lily said fondly. Always losing his glasses until I started putting unbreakable charms on them. Harry sat beside his younger self, accepting the plate James slid in front of him. He took a bite of pancake and couldn't suppress a happy sound. After years of Dursley leftovers, this was heaven. Good? James asked, looking pleased. Harry nodded enthusiastically. The best. A shadow passed over Lily's face. Harry, when you said you live in a cupboard, did you mean that literally? Harry paused mid-bite. The happiness of the moment dimmed slightly. Yeah. The cupboard under the stairs at number 4, Privet Drive. It's where I sleep. James set down his spatula with a sharp clatter. And they, what? Feed you properly? Give you clothes that fit? Treat you like family? Harry shrugged, uncomfortable with the sudden tension. Not really. I get Dudley's old clothes after he outgrows them. And I only eat after they're done, whatever's left. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Lily's eyes flashed dangerously. My sister did this to my child. Her voice was deadly quiet. After everything? It's not that bad, Harry said quickly. I mean, I'm used to it. That's worse, James said, his jaw tight. You shouldn't be used to being treated like that. Sirius slammed a hand on the table, making them all jump. I'll kill them. After we deal with Voldemort and Pettigrew, I'm paying the Dursleys a visit. No one's killing anyone, Lily said, though she didn't sound entirely convinced. We're changing the timeline, remember? Harry won't go to Petunia now. The reminder seemed to calm everyone. James ruffled Harry's hair. You're right. Sorry for getting worked up. Let's focus on the more immediate problem. Voldemort, Harry said. James nodded grimly. And how to stay alive past Halloween. I've been thinking about that, Lily said, cleaning baby Harry's sticky hands with a wave of her wand. We need to understand exactly what happened, or what would have happened, before we can change it. She looked at older Harry. Can you tell us anything else about that night? Anything you might have heard or remembered? Harry frowned, concentrating. Not much. Just the green light and laughing. Sometimes in nightmares, I hear a woman screaming. I think it might be you. Lily paled but kept her composure. That sounds like the killing curse. And if you survived it? She touched his scar gently. This is no ordinary mark. But why would Harry survive if we didn't? James asked. The killing curse is unblockable. Maybe it's connected to the prophecy, Sirius suggested. Dumbledore never told you the exact wording, did he? James shook his head. Just that a child born as the 7th month dies would have the power to defeat the Dark Lord, and that Voldemort would mark him as his equal. Mark him. Lily's eyes widened as she looked at Harry's scar. James, what if that's it? What if whatever happened that night, it created that connection? Harry touched his scar self-consciously. It hurt when Voldemort was near. Last night, when he came to the house. Lily and James exchanged alarmed glances. We definitely need Dumbledore, Lily decided. This goes beyond any magic I've studied. I'll contact him, Sirius offered, standing. The regular channels might be compromised now that Peter. He couldn't finish the sentence. Use the Patronus, James said. Tell him to meet us here, but make sure he knows to come alone. Sirius nodded and left the room, his expression grim. What happens now? Harry asked, looking between his parents. Now, we wait for Dumbledore, James said. And we figure out a plan to keep us all safe. He glanced at the calendar hanging on the kitchen wall. It's October 31st, Halloween. Harry's stomach dropped. But that's the day we were supposed to die, Lily finished quietly. I know. I won't let that happen, Harry said fiercely. That's why I came back. James squeezed his shoulder. And we're going to make sure your journey wasn't for nothing. But Harry. He hesitated. You have to understand, changing time is complicated. There are laws of magic even wizards don't fully comprehend. Your father's right, Lily added. We're in uncharted territory here. No one has ever traveled years into the past and tried to change events like this. Harry looked between them, a cold feeling spreading in his chest. Are you saying it can't be done? That you'll die no matter what? No, James said firmly. I'm saying we need to be careful. Smart. We've already changed things by leaving Godric's Hollow early. Voldemort didn't find us where and when he expected to. But he's still looking, Lily said. And now he's seen older Harry, which complicates things further. Harry hadn't considered that. Do you think he recognized me? Figured out who I am? It's hard to say, James replied. Voldemort is incredibly intelligent. If he suspected time travel, he might be changing his own plans accordingly. A silvery phoenix floated through the wall, startling them all. When it spoke, it was in a calm, elderly voice, I will arrive within the hour. Do not leave your location. We have much to discuss. Dumbledore, Lily explained, seeing Harry's confusion. That's his Patronus. Baby Harry chose that moment to toss a piece of pancake with surprising accuracy, hitting his father square in the glasses. James laughed, wiping them clean. You've got your mother's aim, that's for sure. For a moment, they were just a family again, eating breakfast, laughing, dealing with a messy toddler. Harry soaked in every second, committing it all to memory. This was what he had missed his whole life. Harry, Lily said gently, would you like to hold your younger self? He seems quite taken with you. Harry nodded eagerly. Lily showed him how to support baby Harry's head and back, and soon he was looking into his own curious green eyes. This is so weird, he whispered. Tell me about it, James chuckled. My son is holding my son. Time travel gives me a headache. Baby Harry reached up and patted older Harry's cheek, making a serious gurgling sound. I think he's trying to tell you something, Lily said, smiling. Probably, thanks for trying to save us, James suggested. Or, don't drop me, Sirius added, rejoining them. Harry grinned down at his younger self. Don't worry. I've got you. An hour later, Harry sat nervously between his parents on the cottage's worn sofa. Baby Harry was napping upstairs, and they were all waiting for Dumbledore to arrive. How will he find us? Harry asked. I thought this place was protected. Dumbledore has ways, James said vaguely. He's the most powerful wizard alive. As if on cue, a soft knock came at the door. Sirius, who had stationed himself by the window, peered out cautiously. It's him, he confirmed. James still approached the door with his wand ready. What was the last thing you said to me when we met at Order headquarters in September? A gentle voice answered, I believe I advised you to trust in love's protection, but not to let it blind you to necessary caution. James relaxed slightly and opened the door to reveal a tall, thin man with a flowing silver beard and half-moon spectacles. Albus Dumbledore's blue eyes twinkled as he stepped inside, though his expression was grave. James, Lily. It seems we have quite the situation on our hands. His gaze fell on Harry, and his eyebrows rose. And this must be young Mr. Potter. Though perhaps not as young as I expected. Harry couldn't help staring. Dumbledore was exactly how he would have imagined a wizard, robe, beard, and all. Sir, Harry managed, suddenly shy. Dumbledore's eyes crinkled kindly. No need for formality, Harry. Though I suppose we haven't yet met in your timeline, have we? No, sir. The Dursleys never mentioned you. Something flashed in Dumbledore's eyes. I see. He turned to the adults. I think you'd better tell me everything. For the next half hour, James, Lily, and Sirius took turns explaining the events of the previous night, Harry's arrival, his warnings, Voldemort's attack, their escape. Dumbledore listened without interruption, his fingers steepled beneath his chin. "Most extraordinary," he murmured when they finished. "And the time turner? May I see it?" Harry pulled it from his pocket. The device looked even dimmer in daylight, the golden shine faded, the liquid light inside barely moving. Dumbledore examined it without touching it. "This is unlike any time turner I've ever seen. Ministry models can't go back more than a few hours. To travel years." He shook his head in wonder. "The magic involved is profound. And dangerous. Can it be fixed?" Harry asked. "Not that I want to go back, but—" "I'm afraid not," Dumbledore said gently. "Such devices are not meant for journeys of this magnitude. The fact that it worked at all is remarkable." "So Harry's stuck here," James said. "In this time." "It appears so," Dumbledore agreed. "Which presents us with a unique magical problem. Two versions of the same person existing simultaneously creates a temporal paradox." "Is that bad?" Harry asked anxiously. "Not necessarily," Dumbledore assured him. "But it does complicate matters. Time has a way of resisting change. The larger the alteration one attempts to make to established events, the more forcefully time pushes back." Lily frowned. "You mean like a self-correcting mechanism?" "Precisely," Dumbledore nodded. "Small changes might go unnoticed, but something as significant as preventing your deaths." He trailed off, looking troubled. "But we've already changed things," Sirius pointed out. "We left Godric's Hollow early. Voldemort came a day sooner than he was supposed to." "Yes," Dumbledore said thoughtfully. "That's concerning. If time is already adapting to Harry's intervention, we must be even more vigilant." "What about the prophecy?" James asked. "If we change tonight's events, does that change the prophecy too?" Dumbledore stroked his beard. "The prophecy states that either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. If young Harry has already been marked as Voldemort's equal," he gestured to the lightning scar, "then the prophecy may already be in motion, regardless of our attempts to change tonight's original outcome." "So Voldemort will keep coming after Harry no matter what," Lily said, her voice tight. "I believe so," Dumbledore confirmed. "But perhaps not in the way he originally intended." "What about Peter?" Sirius growled. "He's already betrayed them once. He'll do it again." "Mr. Pettigrew's betrayal is troubling indeed," Dumbledore said. "I had no idea his loyalties had shifted so dramatically." "Can we use that?" James asked. "Set a trap for Voldemort using Peter?" Dumbledore considered this. "It's risky. Voldemort is not easily deceived. And there's another concern, young Harry's presence has changed the variables. Voldemort has seen him, which wasn't part of the original timeline." "He seemed confused," Harry offered. "Like he couldn't figure out who I was." "That may work to our advantage," Dumbledore mused. "Tom was always fascinated by unusual magic. Your appearance may have intrigued him enough to make him cautious." "Tom?" Harry asked. "Lord Voldemort's birth name," Dumbledore explained. "Tom Riddle. Knowing one's enemy is the first step to defeating them." A cry from upstairs signaled baby Harry's awakening. "I'll go," Lily said, rising. "James, fill Dumbledore in on the rest." As she left, James leaned forward. "Albus, there's something else. Older Harry says his scar hurts when Voldemort is near. And last night, Voldemort seemed to notice it too." Dumbledore's expression grew serious. "That suggests a connection between them. Something created the night the curse rebounded." "What kind of connection?" Harry asked, uncomfortable with being discussed like a strange magical artifact. Dumbledore studied him intently. "I'm not certain. But if I may. He raised his wand. A simple diagnostic spell, if you'll permit me. Harry nodded nervously. Dumbledore murmured something, and a soft golden light emanated from his wand, surrounding Harry briefly before focusing on his scar. The old wizard's expression darkened. Most unusual. There appears to be a fragment of foreign magic embedded there. Dark magic. Is it dangerous? James asked sharply. Not immediately, Dumbledore hedged. But it bears further study. If what I suspect is correct. Lily returned with baby Harry, who immediately reached for his older self. She passed the baby to Harry, who cradled him awkwardly. What did I miss? She asked, noticing the tense atmosphere. Dumbledore stood. We were discussing our next steps. I believe I know a place where you'll be safe, safer than here, at least. One of my properties, unplottable and protected by enchantments of my own design. When do we leave? James asked. Immediately, Dumbledore said. Pack only what you need. I'll create a portkey. As the adults prepared to leave, Harry sat with his younger self on his lap. Baby Harry patted his face with sticky hands, completely unaware of the danger surrounding them. Don't worry, Harry whispered. I won't let anything happen to you. To us. Baby Harry gave a happy gurgle in response. 20 minutes later, they were ready to depart. Dumbledore had transformed a teapot into a portkey and was giving final instructions. The house is on the coast of northern Scotland. Remote, warded, and known only to me. You'll be safe there while we determine our next move. What about Remus? James asked suddenly. He doesn't know what's happened. I'll contact Lupin, Dumbledore assured him. But cautiously. If one marauder could turn. Remus would never, Sirius said fiercely. Not Moony. Nevertheless, caution is warranted, Dumbledore insisted. Now, everyone touch the portkey. We leave in 30 seconds. They gathered around the teapot. Harry, remembering the previous night's failed attempt, made sure to grip it firmly. His other hand held the time turner, which he'd kept in his pocket. As they touched the portkey, Harry felt a strange vibration from the time turner. It grew hot suddenly, burning against his leg. Wait, he began, but it was too late. The portkey activated, and they were pulled into the familiar whirlwind. But something was wrong. The sensation was different, jarring, unstable. Harry felt like they were being pulled in multiple directions at once. When they landed, it wasn't on the Scottish coast. They sprawled across damp grass, disoriented. As Harry pushed himself up, he recognized their surroundings with a jolt of fear. We're back in Godric's Hollow, he gasped. Near my parents' house. James jumped to his feet, drawing his wand. That's impossible. The portkey was set for Scotland. Dumbledore rose more slowly, his expression grave. I believe young Harry's time turner interfered with our journey. Harry pulled out the device, which was now glowing brightly again, the liquid inside swirling vigorously. It's never done this before, he said. Time fighting back, Dumbledore murmured. Trying to restore the original events. Lily clutched baby Harry tightly, looking around fearfully. We need to get out of here. Now. Agreed, James said. Can you make another portkey, Albus? Before Dumbledore could answer, a familiar voice called out, James. Lily? Is that you? They all turned to see Peter Pettigrew hurrying toward them, his round face anxious in the fading daylight. I've been looking everywhere for you. Peter exclaimed. The house was destroyed, and I thought. He trailed off, finally noticing the others. His eyes widened at the sight of older Harry. What's going on? Who's that boy? Sirius moved faster than Harry could follow. In seconds, he had Peter pinned against a tree, wand at his throat. You filthy, traitorous rat, Sirius snarled. Did he send you to find us? To finish what you started? Sirius? Peter squeaked, his face pale with terror. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. Sirius pressed his wand harder against Peter's neck. We know you betrayed the Potters to Voldemort. You're the only one who could have. No. Peter's eyes darted frantically between them. I would never. James, Lily, you know me. James approached slowly, his own wand raised. His expression was a mix of fury and deep pain. We thought we knew you, Wormtail. What did he offer you? What was worth our lives? I don't understand, Peter whimpered. I haven't betrayed anyone. The secret's still safe with me. Liar. Sirius roared. Voldemort came to Godric's Hollow last night. He told us himself you turned. Peter's eyes bulged. Last night? But I was in London last night. Ask Remus. We were supposed to meet, but he never showed, so I went to his place. Dumbledore stepped forward. Mr. Pettigrew, lying will only worsen your situation. I'm not lying. Peter was practically sobbing now. Use Veritaserum. Look at my memories. I've done nothing wrong. Harry watched the exchange with growing confusion. Peter seemed genuinely terrified and bewildered. Could they be wrong about him? The Time Turner, Lily said suddenly. Dumbledore, what if we've changed more than we realized? What if in this version of events, Peter hasn't betrayed us yet? Dumbledore's eyebrows rose. A fascinating possibility. Time is indeed mutable and complex. That's ridiculous, Sirius snapped. He's just lying to save his skin. There's an easy way to find out, James said grimly. Petrificus totalis. Peter went rigid, his limbs snapping together as he fell to the ground. James. Lily protested. It's necessary, James said, kneeling beside his immobilized friend. We can't take chances. He looked up at Dumbledore. Can you check? See if he's been in contact with Voldemort. Dumbledore approached and cast several complex spells over Peter's frozen form. After several tense moments, he straightened. I detect no dark mark, no memory charms, no evidence of recent contact with dark magic of any kind. Sirius shook his head in disbelief. That's impossible. Voldemort said. Voldemort may have been referring to a betrayal that hasn't happened yet, Dumbledore suggested. If we've altered the timeline. Then we don't know what's changed and what hasn't, Lily finished, looking troubled. James released Peter from the spell. The smaller man gasped and curled into a ball, trembling. Peter, James said, his voice gentler but still wary, we need to know exactly what's happened over the past few days. From your perspective. I've been hiding, Peter stammered. Like we planned. Only coming out to check on Order members. I saw Remus 2 days ago. Everything was normal. Then I felt a disturbance in the Fidelius charm this morning. I came to check on you, and the house was damaged, but empty. Harry felt the Time Turner growing hot again in his hand. Looking down, he saw the inner hourglass spinning by itself, faster and faster. Dad, he said urgently. Something's happening with the Time Turner. Everyone turned to look. The device was now pulsing with golden light, the liquid inside churning violently. Step back, Harry, Dumbledore warned, drawing his wand. That level of temporal magic could be dangerous. But Harry couldn't release the Time Turner. It seemed stuck to his palm, the heat uncomfortable but not quite burning. I can't let go, he said, panic rising. Lily rushed to his side, trying to help pry his fingers open. It won't budge. The light from the Time Turner expanded suddenly, surrounding Harry in a golden glow that spread to encompass Lily, then James who had hurried over, then baby Harry in Lily's arms. What's happening? Harry cried. Time asserting itself, Dumbledore said grimly. fighting against the changes you've made. The golden light intensified, becoming almost blinding. Harry felt a strange pulling sensation, not like the port key or his original time travel, but something deeper, as if reality itself was shifting around them. And then, as suddenly as it began, the light vanished. Harry blinked, disoriented. They were still in Godric's Hollow, but something had changed. The quality of the light, the position of the sun, it was earlier in the day. What just happened? James asked, looking around in confusion. I believe, Dumbledore said slowly, that time has reset itself. Not completely, but partially. Reset? Lily repeated. You mean? Look, Sirius interrupted, pointing. In the distance, they could see the Potter cottage, intact, undamaged. That's not possible, James whispered. Voldemort attacked last night. The front wall was blown apart. Harry looked down at the time turner. It had stopped glowing but still felt warm in his hand. Did we go back in time again? I think it's more complex than that, Dumbledore said. The temporal magic seems to be realigning events. Trying to restore the original timeline while accounting for your presence, Harry. Peter, who had been forgotten momentarily, spoke up in a small voice. Will someone please tell me what's going on? Who is that boy? Why do you all think I betrayed you? Before anyone could answer, a silver wolf Patronus bounded up to them. Remus Lupin's voice emerged, Death Eaters spotted near Godric's Hollow. Moving in your direction. Get out now. We need to go, James said urgently. Debate Peter's loyalty later. We can't risk bringing him with us if there's any chance, Sirius began. We can't leave him for the Death Eaters either, Lily interrupted. Not if he's innocent. Dumbledore made the decision. Mr. Pettigrew comes with us, but under guard. I'll create another port key, one that won't be affected by the time turner. He gave Harry a pointed look. Harry nodded and stuffed the device deep in his pocket, hoping to minimize its influence. Dumbledore transfigured a fallen leaf into a small wooden box. This will take us directly to my property. No detours this time. He tapped it with his wand, murmuring complex incantations. As they all reached for the new port key, a cold voice called out from the shadows of nearby trees. Leaving so soon, Dumbledore? Without saying hello. Voldemort stepped into view, his pale face gleaming in the fading light. Behind him, dark-robed figures emerged, at least a dozen Death Eaters, wands ready. Tom, Dumbledore said calmly, though his wand was instantly in his hand. I'm afraid we're rather in a hurry. I can see that, Voldemort's red eyes fixed on Harry. And with such interesting companions. The boy who appeared from nowhere. I've been quite curious about him. Harry felt his scar throb painfully. He stepped closer to his parents instinctively. You won't touch my son, James said, moving in front of Harry. Your son. Voldemort laughed coldly. How fascinating. When I left you yesterday, you had but one child, an infant. Now you claim this boy as well. His gaze shifted to Peter, who was shaking uncontrollably. And Pettigrew, my faithful servant, seemed quite confused when I summoned him earlier. I'm not your servant. Peter squeaked, though his voice betrayed his terror. Voldemort's lipless mouth curved in amusement. Not yet, perhaps. Though in another reality. He looked at Harry again. Time magic. How very ambitious, Potter. Even I haven't dabbled much in that particular art. He knows, Lily whispered. He understands what's happening. Of course I do, Voldemort said, his hearing unnaturally acute. Did you think me incapable of recognizing temporal displacement? The boy brought knowledge from the future, a future where I apparently succeeded in killing you both. His smile widened. How encouraging. Not this time, Harry said, finding his courage. I won't let it happen. Voldemort studied him with interest. Such conviction from a child. Tell me, boy, how did you survive when your parents did not? That scar, it carries my magical signature. That's enough, Tom, Dumbledore said sharply. You will not touch any of them. Always the protector, Dumbledore, Voldemort sneered. But you can't guard them forever. The prophecy will be fulfilled, one way or another. He raised his wand, and in that same moment, Dumbledore activated the portkey. Now, he shouted. Everyone lunged for the wooden box. Harry felt the familiar jerk behind his navel as the portkey activated. The last thing he saw was Voldemort's furious face as a jet of green light shot from his wand, missing them by inches as they vanished. They landed hard on a wooden floor. Harry rolled, bumping into someone, Sirius, he realized as he sat up. They were inside a spacious, rustic living room with stone walls and a roaring fireplace. Everyone all right? James called, helping Lily to her feet. She clutched baby Harry, who was miraculously still asleep despite the chaos. Fine, Sirius grunted, standing. Where's Peter? Dumbledore asked sharply. They looked around. Peter was nowhere to be seen. Did he not make it? Lily asked, concerned despite everything. Sirius's expression darkened. Or he let go on purpose. To stay with his master. We can't know that, James said, but he sounded less certain now. Dumbledore moved to a window, peering out at the stormy sea beyond. We're on the northernmost point of Scotland. Isolated and heavily warded. We should be safe here for now. For how long? Harry asked. Voldemort seems to find us no matter what. He does, Dumbledore agreed, looking troubled. And he seems to understand what's happening with time itself. That makes him even more dangerous. What did he mean about Peter being his servant? Not yet, perhaps. Lily asked. And about another reality? I believe Voldemort has realized that we're experiencing temporal flux, Dumbledore explained. The timeline is unstable, shifting between what was, what should be, and what now might be. English, please, Sirius requested. Time is confused, Dumbledore simplified. Young Harry's presence has created a paradox that time itself is trying to resolve. Events are realigning, sometimes returning to their original pattern, sometimes creating new possibilities. Harry pulled out the time turner again. It seemed calmer now, the light inside steady. Is that why this thing keeps acting weird? It's trying to fix things. In a manner of speaking, Dumbledore nodded. Magical objects attuned to time are sensitive to temporal disturbances. Your time turner is reacting to the paradox of your existence here. So what do we do? James asked, running a hand through his hair in frustration. How do we stabilize things? Make sure we all survive. I'm not certain we can, Dumbledore said grimly. The more we fight against time's natural flow, the more forcefully it may push back. So we're just supposed to give up? Harry cried. Let my parents die because time says so. Dumbledore regarded him kindly. Not at all, my boy. I'm merely suggesting we need to understand the rules before we try to break them. Time travel of this magnitude has never been documented. We're in uncharted waters. I think I need some air, Harry muttered, overwhelmed. He headed toward a door he assumed led outside. Stay within the wards, Dumbledore called after him. The property extends to the cliff edge, but no further. Harry nodded and slipped outside. The wind immediately whipped at his hair, carrying the salty scent of the ocean. Before him, a wild landscape of heather and gorse stretched to a dramatic cliff edge where land met roiling sea. He sat on a large rock, turning the time turner over in his hands. What had he done? He'd come back to save his parents, but instead, he'd created some kind of temporal chaos that might make everything worse. Mind if I join you? Harry looked up to see his mother standing nearby, her red hair dancing in the wind. Baby Harry was no longer with her. Where's, little me? Harry asked. Lily smiled. James is giving him a bath. That boy loves water, splashes everywhere. She sat beside Harry on the rock. So. This is quite the adventure you've started. Harry looked down. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make things worse. Worse? Lily took his hand. Harry, look at me. He raised his eyes to meet hers, the same bright green as his own. Without you, James and I would almost certainly be dead by now. Whatever chaos you've created, you've also given us a chance. A chance to live. To be a family. But Dumbledore said time keeps trying to fix itself. To make you die anyway. Lily's expression grew determined. Then we'll just have to be more stubborn than time itself. She squeezed his hand. You didn't give up on us, even after 7 years of thinking we were gone forever. Do you really think we'd give up now that we've met you? Now that we know what we'd be missing? Harry felt tears prick at his eyes. I just wanted to meet you. To have parents. I didn't think about all this complicated stuff. The best magic often comes from the heart rather than the head, Lily said softly. Your love was strong enough to bend the laws of time. That's extraordinary, Harry. He leaned against her shoulder, and she wrapped an arm around him. For several minutes, they sat in silence, watching the waves crash against the cliffs below. What was I like? Lily asked suddenly. As a baby, I mean. Do you remember anything? Harry shook his head. Nothing before the Dursleys. But. He hesitated. Sometimes I dream about a woman singing. I think it might be you. Lily's eyes filled with tears. I used to sing to you every night. Muggle lullabies my mother taught me. Could you? Harry swallowed hard. Could you sing one now? Lily smiled through her tears. Of course. Her voice was clear and sweet as it rose above the sound of the wind and waves. Harry closed his eyes, letting the music wash over him. This was what he had missed all those years, not just parents, but moments like these. Simple, perfect moments of belonging. When the song ended, Harry opened his eyes to find his father standing a few yards away, watching them with a soft expression. That was beautiful, James said, approaching. Baby Harry's finally asleep. Dumbledore and Sirius are discussing defense strategies inside. Any sign of Remus? Lily asked. James shook his head. Nothing yet. I'm worried about him. If Voldemort knows we're on to Peter, he might go after Moony next. We should go back in, Lily said, standing. It's getting dark. As they turned toward the house, Harry felt the time turner grow warm again in his pocket. Not hot like before, just alert. Watchful. Something's coming, he said, pulling it out. The liquid light inside was swirling faster, though not as violently as earlier. James drew his wand. Inside. Now. They hurried back to the house, where Dumbledore and Sirius were poring over a map spread across a large table. The time turner's acting up again, Harry announced, showing them the device. Dumbledore examined it without touching. Interesting. Not as agitated as before, but definitely active. Time may be shifting again, though perhaps more subtly. What does that mean for us? James asked. Hard to say, Dumbledore admitted. But I suggest we all remain vigilant. A knock at the door made everyone freeze. No one should know we're here, Sirius whispered, wand ready. Dumbledore approached the door cautiously. Who calls? It's Remus, came the reply. Remus Lupin. Sirius stepped forward eagerly, but Dumbledore held up a hand. Proof, if you please. My Patronus is a wolf, Remus's voice answered. And the last time we spoke, Albus, you told me to remember that, even in the darkest night, the moon reflects the sun's light. It was after the McKinnon mission. Dumbledore nodded and opened the door. A tired-looking man with premature grey in his sandy hair stepped inside, his robes patched and worn. "Thank Merlin you're all safe," Remus said, his relief evident. "When I saw what happened at Godric's Hollow." "What did happen?" James asked sharply. "We've been getting mixed signals about events." Remus looked confused. "Death Eaters attacked this morning. Destroyed part of the house, but you were already gone. The entire Order's been searching for you." His gaze fell on Harry, and he froze. "Who?" "That's a complicated story," Sirius said, clapping Remus on the shoulder. "One best told over a strong drink." As the adults filled Remus in on the situation, Harry found himself drifting toward the window. Night had fallen completely now, and the only light outside came from the moon, nearly full as it rose over the sea. The time-turner in his hand continued its gentle pulsing, neither calming nor growing more agitated. Waiting, Harry thought. But for what? He rejoined the others as Remus was absorbing the final details of their strange journey. "Time travel," Remus muttered, shaking his head in wonder. "Actual, long-distance time travel. And Peter. I can't believe it." "Believe what, exactly?" Lily asked carefully. "That he betrayed us, or that he didn't?" Remus frowned. "That's what I don't understand. When I last saw Peter 2 days ago, he seemed nervous but normal. Not like someone planning to betray his best friends to Voldemort." "The timeline's shifting," Dumbledore reminded them. "In the original course of events, Peter's betrayal led to James and Lily's deaths tonight, Halloween night. But Harry's intervention has changed things. So in this version of events, Peter might not have turned yet?" Sirius asked skeptically. "Or he might have been playing both sides all along," James suggested. "Keeping his options open until he decided which way to jump." "We may never know the truth," Dumbledore said. "What matters now is protecting young Harry, both versions of him." "Speaking of which," Lily said, "I should check on the baby." She headed upstairs to the room where baby Harry was sleeping. "What's our next move?" Remus asked. "We can't stay hidden forever. We need to end this," James said firmly. "Find a way to defeat Voldemort once and for all. Otherwise, we'll never be safe." Dumbledore's expression grew grave. "That may be more difficult than you realize. Voldemort has taken certain precautions against death." "What kind of precautions?" Harry asked. Dumbledore hesitated, his eyes troubled. "Dark magic of the worst kind. I've had my suspicions for some time, but until now, no proof. However, your scar, Harry, and the connection it creates between you and Voldemort, it suggests something I had feared." Before he could explain further, Lily's scream tore through the house. "James! Harry's gone!" They all bolted for the stairs. Harry's heart pounded as he raced after his father. Baby Harry missing. How was that possible? They burst into the small bedroom where the baby had been sleeping. The crib was empty, the window open, cold sea air gusting through. "He was right here," Lily cried, her face white with terror. "I checked on him not 20 minutes ago." "The wards," Dumbledore said, his voice sharp with alarm. "They haven't been breached. No one could have entered from outside." "Then how?" James began, but Harry interrupted with a sudden realization. "The time-turner," he said, pulling it from his pocket. The device was now pulsing rapidly, the light inside almost frantic. "It's been acting weird all day. What if it did something to baby me?" "Impossible," Sirius argued. "Time-turners don't make people vanish." "Not ordinarily," Dumbledore agreed. "But this is no ordinary time-turner, and these are no ordinary circumstances. Two versions of the same person existing simultaneously creates a strain on the fabric of time itself." "Are you saying time eliminated him?" Lily asked, horror in her voice. Erased my baby? Not erased, Dumbledore said quickly. Temporal magic can't destroy a person completely. But it might have relocated him. To where? James demanded. As if in answer, the time turner in Harry's hand gave a sudden, violent pulse. Golden light exploded outward, temporarily blinding them all. When the light faded and Harry could see again, the time turner was silent and dark in his palm. The liquid inside had stopped moving completely. And on the floor where the light had been brightest, a small figure lay curled up, sleeping peacefully. Harry! Lily cried, rushing forward to gather her baby in her arms. Baby Harry didn't wake, just snuggled against his mother's chest with a contented sigh. What just happened? Sirius asked, looking between the baby and the now dormant time turner. I believe, Dumbledore said slowly, we've just witnessed time attempting to correct itself once more. By taking my son and then giving him back. Lily asked angrily, holding baby Harry protectively tight. By demonstrating its power, Dumbledore corrected. Showing us that it can move people, and events, as it sees fit. Harry looked down at the time turner, now dull and lifeless in his hand. It stopped working. Completely this time. Dumbledore nodded. Its purpose may be fulfilled. Or its magic exhausted. Does this mean we've won? James asked. Beaten time at its own game? I wouldn't be so certain, Dumbledore cautioned. We're still on Halloween night. The prophecy is still in play. And Voldemort is still hunting you. A thunderous crack shook the house, so powerful it rattled the windows in their frames. What was that? Remus gasped. Dumbledore strode to the window, his expression darkening. The outer wards. Someone's attacking them. Another crack, louder than the first. The lights in the room flickered. That's not possible, Sirius said. This place is unplottable. How could they find us? Harry felt a familiar pain blossom in his forehead. Voldemort, he said, pressing a hand to his scar. He's here. I can feel him. Dumbledore's face was grim. It seems time has found a way to restore certain events, despite our best efforts. The confrontation that was meant to happen tonight, is still happening. We need to get the children out, James said decisively. Lily, take both Harrys and go. We'll hold them off. I'm not leaving you, Lily protested. And I'm not leaving either, Harry added stubbornly. A third crack, and this time the entire house shuddered. The second ward layer, Dumbledore announced. We have perhaps 5 minutes before they breach the inner defenses. 5 minutes to decide the fate of 2 timelines, Remus murmured. Harry felt a strange calm settle over him. From the moment he'd found the time turner in his cupboard, he'd known this was all leading to something. A confrontation. A choice. I think I know what we need to do, he said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. The prophecy talks about the power to defeat Voldemort, right? And Voldemort marked me as his equal. He touched his scar. What if that's the key? What if that's what time has been trying to maintain? Not my parents' deaths, but my confrontation with Voldemort. Dumbledore studied him intently. You may be right, Harry. The prophecy states either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. Perhaps it's that encounter, not necessarily your parents' deaths, that time is insisting upon. So if I face him, Harry continued, maybe time will consider that enough. The prophecy begins, but my parents can live. Absolutely not, James said flatly. You're 8 years old. You're not facing Voldemort. I already did, back at Godric's Hollow, Harry pointed out. And in my original timeline, I must have faced him as a baby. And survived, somehow, Lily added thoughtfully. She looked down at baby Harry, then back at her older son. There must be a reason. Some protection. Dumbledore's eyes widened suddenly. Love, he whispered. Of course. Lily, when Voldemort came for Harry in the original timeline, you must have sacrificed yourself to save him. That kind of sacrifice, a mother willingly dying to protect her child, it creates a powerful magical protection. Blood magic, Lily breathed, understanding dawning. Ancient magic. The kind Voldemort always underestimates. A fourth crack, this one followed by the sound of breaking glass somewhere downstairs. They've breached the inner wards, Dumbledore announced. We're out of time for debate. Take the baby and go out the back, James urged Lily. Sirius, Remus, go with her. I'm staying with you, Sirius said stubbornly. So am I, Harry added. Harry, please, Lily begged, tears in her eyes. I can't lose you. Either of you. Harry hugged his mother fiercely. You won't. I promise. But I have to do this. I think it's why I came back, not just to warn you, but to face him differently. To change how it happens, not stop it from happening at all. Sounds of fighting erupted downstairs, crashes, shouts, the distinctive cracks of spellfire. Death Eaters in the house, Remus reported, peering down the hallway. Dumbledore's engaging them. Go, James told Lily again. Please. I'll bring Harry, older Harry, as soon as we can. Lily kissed James desperately, then hugged Harry once more. Be careful, she whispered. Both of you. She turned to Remus. Keep them safe for me, she said, and then she was gone, carrying baby Harry down a back staircase with Remus following close behind. James squeezed Harry's shoulder. Stay behind me, no matter what. Understand? Harry nodded, his heart pounding. They descended the main staircase to find Dumbledore and Sirius battling half a dozen Death Eaters in the living room. The old wizard moved with surprising speed and grace, his wand a-blur as he cast spell after spell. James! Behind you! Sirius shouted. James spun, pushing Harry down as a jet of red light shot over their heads. He returned fire, dropping the Death Eater with a well-placed stunning spell. Dumbledore! James called. Harry thinks he needs to face Voldemort. Something about the prophecy. Dumbledore dispatched another Death Eater before answering. It's possible. The prophecy must be fulfilled one way or another. Where is he? Harry asked, searching for Voldemort among the chaos. As if summoned by the question, the front door blew inward with explosive force. Death Eaters scrambled out of the way as a tall, robed figure entered slowly, deliberately. Voldemort surveyed the room, his red eyes glowing in the dim light. When he spotted Harry, a cold smile spread across his snake-like face. The boy who should not exist, he said silkily. How fascinating to find you at the center of this temporal anomaly. Stay away from my son, James snarled, stepping in front of Harry. Your son from the future, Voldemort mused. Come to change the past. Yet here we are, on Halloween night, facing each other just as the prophecy foretold. Time is a cruel mistress, isn't she? Dumbledore moved to stand beside James. It's over, Tom. You won't touch either Harry. Voldemort laughed, high and cold. Over? I think not. This is merely the beginning. His red eyes fixed on Harry again. Tell me, boy. In your future, do I win? Do I kill your parents as I intended? Yes, Harry said, finding his voice. But you lose too. You try to kill me, and something goes wrong. Interest flickered across Voldemort's inhuman features. Something goes wrong, he repeated. And you survive, marked by me. He gestured to Harry's scar. How extraordinary. The prophecy, Dumbledore said. You marked him as your equal, Tom. Set in motion your own downfall. Perhaps in his timeline, Voldemort conceded. But time has given me a precious gift, knowledge of my mistake. This time, I won't fail. He raised his wand, pointing it directly at Harry. Harry, down! James shouted, pushing him aside as he fired a spell at Voldemort. The dark wizard deflected it easily and retaliated with a jet of green light that James barely dodged. Chaos erupted again as Sirius, Dumbledore, and the remaining Death Eaters rejoined the fight. Spells crisscrossed the room, shattering furniture and scorching walls. Harry found himself separated from his father, pressed against the far wall as duels raged around him. He clutched the dead time-turner in one hand, wishing desperately it still worked. A scream cut through the noise. Sirius, hit by some spell that left him crumpled on the floor. No! Harry cried. Voldemort's head snapped toward him. With a casual wave of his wand, he cleared a path between them, throwing combatants aside like dolls. Enough distractions, he said coldly. This ends now, as it was meant to. Not my son. James roared, throwing himself into Voldemort's path. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Voldemort's wand came up, the killing curse forming on his lips. James, wandless after being disarmed, still charging forward to protect Harry. Dumbledore, too far away to intervene in time. And Harry, acting on pure instinct, flung the time-turner with all his strength. The dead device hit Voldemort's outstretched wand arm just as he shouted, Avada Kedavra. Three things happened simultaneously: the killing curse shot from Voldemort's wand, but the jostled aim sent it wide, missing James by inches. The time-turner shattered against Voldemort's arm, showering him with broken glass and the strange liquid light that had been trapped inside. And most bizarrely, the liquid seemed to absorb into Voldemort's skin, causing him to scream in agony as golden light coursed through his veins like fire. What is this magic? He shrieked, his voice inhuman with pain. Harry's scar exploded with the worst pain he'd ever felt. He fell to his knees, clutching his forehead, dimly aware of Voldemort thrashing nearby, also brought low by whatever was happening. Through the haze of pain, Harry saw James rush to his side, felt his father's arms around him, heard his worried voice calling his name. The time-turner, Harry managed to gasp. It's doing something to him. Indeed, Voldemort was now encased in a cocoon of golden light that pulsed like a heartbeat. His screams had stopped, but his body twisted unnaturally within the light. Dumbledore approached cautiously, his wand trained on the writhing form. Remarkable, he murmured. The temporal magic is reacting with something inside him. Something, fractured. What's happening to him? James asked, still holding Harry protectively. I believe, Dumbledore said slowly, that Tom's soul, already damaged through dark rituals, is being forced to experience all its moments simultaneously. Past, present, future, collapsed into a single point. The golden cocoon began to contract, squeezing tighter around Voldemort's body. The remaining Death Eaters backed away in fear, some disappearing in puffs of black smoke. With a final, blinding flash, the light imploded. When their vision cleared, Voldemort was gone. In his place lay only a pile of empty robes and a broken wand. Is he dead? Harry asked, hardly daring to hope. Dumbledore approached the robes cautiously, examining them with complex detection spells. Not dead, he said finally. But no longer corporeally present. The temporal magic has displaced him, perhaps to another time, perhaps to a non-physical state of existence. Will he come back? James asked, helping Harry to his feet. I fear so, Dumbledore admitted. Tom has taken precautions against true death. But this, interruption, may give us valuable time. Time to prepare. Time to find and eliminate those precautions. The pain in Harry's scar was already fading to a dull throb. He looked around the destroyed living room. Sirius was sitting up now, helped by Remus, who must have returned during the fight. We won? Harry asked uncertainly. James smiled tiredly. For now, yes. Thanks to your quick thinking with the time-turner. I didn't know what would happen, Harry admitted. I just reacted. Often the best magic comes from instinct rather than calculation, Dumbledore said, echoing Lily's earlier words. Particularly when that instinct is driven by love. A silver doe Patronus bounded into the room. Lily's voice emerged, "We're safe at the rendezvous point. Is everyone all right? Is Harry safe?" "Both Harrys are fine," James replied, conjuring his own stag Patronus to carry the message. "Voldemort is gone, at least temporarily. We'll join you soon." As the stag bounded away, Harry felt a wave of exhaustion crash over him. The adrenaline of the fight drained away, leaving him shaky and overwhelmed. "What now?" he asked quietly. James knelt to his eye level. "Now we rebuild. Stay vigilant. And most importantly, be a family. You don't have to go back to the Dursleys," Sirius added, limping over with Remus's help. "That future's gone for good." "Is it, though?" Harry wondered. "What if time tries to fix things again?" "Time has had its say," Dumbledore said firmly. "The prophecy has been acknowledged, if not fully fulfilled. Voldemort marked you, faced you, and has been temporarily defeated by magic connected to you. I believe the most crucial temporal factors have been satisfied." "You mean, we actually changed the future?" Harry could hardly believe it. "You changed your future," Dumbledore corrected. "Created a new branch of possibilities. What happens from here is unwritten." Harry looked down at the broken pieces of the time turner scattered across the floor. "It's really over." James wrapped an arm around his shoulders. "The time turner part is over. But your life with us? That's just beginning." For the first time since arriving in the past, Harry felt the tight knot of anxiety in his chest begin to unravel. His parents were alive. Voldemort was gone, at least for now. And instead of returning to a cupboard under the stairs, he was going home with his family. Whatever challenges lay ahead, and Dumbledore's warning about Voldemort's eventual return suggested there would be many, they would face them together. "Let's go find Mom and little me," Harry said, smiling up at his father. James nodded, his hazel eyes bright with unshed tears of relief and joy. "Yes. Let's go home." As they walked out of the destroyed safe house into the cool Halloween night, Harry thought about the strange journey that had brought him here. A neglected boy in a cupboard, a mysterious golden device, a desperate wish to know his parents, it had all led to this moment. Time had tried to assert itself, to maintain the original tragic timeline. But love, his love for parents he'd never known, their love for a child they'd only just met, had proven stronger than time itself. Harry looked up at the stars, bright and clear in the northern sky. For the first time in his memory, Halloween wasn't a day of tragedy. Instead, it had become a beginning. And as his father's warm hand held his, guiding him forward toward his mother and his younger self, Harry knew with absolute certainty that whatever happened next, he was exactly where he was meant to be. Chapter 3, The Unwound Clock. Harry woke up in an actual bedroom, his bedroom. Sunlight streamed through blue curtains, illuminating Quidditch posters that covered nearly every inch of wall space. For a moment, he just stared at the ceiling, letting reality sink in. This wasn't the Dursleys. This was home. 6 months had passed since that Halloween night when everything changed. 6 months of learning what it meant to have a family, to live in a wizard's house, to be loved. 6 months of careful watching and waiting, wondering if time would try to snatch it all away again. But it hadn't. Harry rolled out of bed, his feet hitting the warm wooden floor. His room at Potter Cottage in Godric's Hollow, rebuilt and hidden under new protections, was everything he'd ever dreamed of. Not too big, but cozy and completely his. Well, his and little Harry's, technically, though his younger self now had his own room across the hall. That had been weird at first, living with baby Harry, watching him grow, knowing they were the same person separated by time. The baby had just celebrated his 2nd birthday last week, while Harry himself would turn 9 in a few months. The party for little Harry had been small but perfect, just family and their closest friends. Family. The word still gave Harry a warm, glowing feeling every time he thought it. He pulled on jeans and a t-shirt before heading downstairs, following the smell of bacon and the sound of his mother's humming. Every morning felt like a miracle. "Morning, Mom," he called, entering the sunny kitchen. Lily turned from the stove, her smile brightening. "There you are, sleepyhead. I was about to send your father up to check if you'd been kidnapped by your blankets." "Sorry," Harry grinned. "I was dreaming about flying." Like father, like son, Lily rolled her eyes fondly. "James has been up since dawn, tinkering with that new broom of his." "The Clean Sweep 7?" Harry asked eagerly. "Did the acceleration charms work?" "Ask him yourself," Lily nodded toward the back door. "He's in the garden shed, probably covered in broom polish and looking entirely too pleased with himself." Harry grabbed a piece of toast and headed for the door, but Lily caught him by the shoulder. "Breakfast first, brooms second," she said firmly, steering him to the table. "I didn't raise a Quidditch-obsessed hooligan who skips meals." "Oh wait, yes I did, 2 of them, in fact." Harry laughed and sat down. Little Harry was already in his high chair, methodically smashing scrambled eggs with a small plastic spoon. "Morning, Mini-Me," Harry said. The toddler looked up with egg-covered cheeks and beamed. "Hwi." It was one of his favorite words, which confused visitors to no end. Lily set a plate of eggs and bacon in front of Harry. "Eat up. Sirius and Remus are coming by later to discuss." She paused, glancing at little Harry. "You know. The usual." Harry nodded, understanding perfectly. The usual meant order business, specifically, the ongoing hunt for Voldemort's Horcruxes. That had been Dumbledore's bombshell revelation in the weeks after Halloween. Voldemort had created multiple Horcruxes, objects containing pieces of his soul that anchored him to life even if his body was destroyed. The Time Turner incident had somehow disrupted his physical form but hadn't destroyed these soul fragments. "Any news about the cup?" Harry asked quietly. Lily shook her head. "Nothing yet. But Bill Weasley thinks he's close to breaking through the final ward at the Lestrange vault." The door burst open as James Potter strode in, his hair even messier than usual and a streak of polish on his cheek. "Morning, family. Harry, you've got to see this broom. I've added a stabilizing charm that makes the turns practically read your mind." "James," Lily said pointedly, "your son is eating breakfast. Brooms can wait." James sighed dramatically but dropped a kiss on Lily's cheek before ruffling both Harry's hair. "Fine, fine. But it's revolutionary, I'm telling you." "You said that about the last 3 modifications," Lily reminded him, passing him a cup of coffee. "And I was right every time." James protested. "Sirius even said, if your defense starts with, Sirius said, you've already lost," Lily laughed. Harry watched his parents' easy banter with a familiar surge of happiness. This was what he traveled through time for, these ordinary, perfect moments. Of course, not everything had been perfect these past 6 months. The wizarding world remained in a state of uneasy tension, knowing that Voldemort wasn't truly gone. Death Eaters still operated in the shadows, though many had been captured. Peter Pettigrew remained at large, having vanished completely after the Halloween confrontation. And then there were the nightmares. Harry still had them sometimes, flashes of green light, high cold laughter, and more recently, disturbing visions of a shadowy figure moving through dark forests in Albania. Dumbledore believed these might be glimpses through his connection to Voldemort, a side effect of the scar that marked him. "Earth to Harry," James waved a hand in front of his face. "Thinking deep thoughts?" Harry blinked. "Sorry. Just, the usual." James's expression softened. He understood. "Hey, how about after breakfast, we take the Clean Sweep out for a proper test run? The anti-muggle charms on the backfield should hold fine." "Really?" Harry perked up. "Can I actually fly it?" "Under supervision," Lily interjected firmly. And no higher than the apple tree. Yes. Harry pumped his fist, nearly knocking over his orange juice. Little Harry, sensing excitement, banged his spoon enthusiastically. The sound of the flue activating in the living room interrupted their breakfast. Lily and James exchanged glances, both immediately on alert. No one was expected this early. "Stay with the boys," James said quietly, drawing his wand. Harry felt the familiar tightness in his chest, the fear that never quite went away, that something would shatter this happy life he'd found. James returned moments later with Sirius, whose usually immaculate appearance was disheveled, his expression grim. "Padfoot. You're early," Lily said, her casual tone betrayed by the tension in her shoulders. Sirius nodded at Harry. "Hey, kiddo. Looking forward to trying out that death trap your dad's been building?" "It's not a death trap," James objected automatically. "What's wrong?" Harry asked directly, recognizing the adults' attempts at normalcy for what they were. Sirius exchanged a look with James and Lily before sighing. "Might as well tell him. He's involved anyway." He sat at the table, accepting the coffee Lily pushed toward him. "Dumbledore got word from his contact in Albania. There's been activity. The kind we've been watching for." Harry's scar tingled. "Voldemort?" Sirius nodded grimly. "Signs point to him possessing a local wizard. Temporarily, but it's the third case in 2 months. He's getting stronger." "But the Horcruxes," Lily began. "We've only found 2, Sirius reminded her. The diary and the ring. Dumbledore thinks there are at least 3 more, maybe 4. Little Harry chose that moment to fling a piece of egg across the table, oblivious to the tension. "Maybe we should continue this later," James suggested, glancing meaningfully at his youngest son. "I'll take him upstairs," Harry offered, wanting to be helpful but also desperately curious to hear more. Lily gave him a knowing look. "Nice try. But yes, please take him up for his bath. We'll fill you in on anything you need to know afterward." Harry nodded, trying not to look too disappointed as he helped his younger self out of the high chair. "Come on, Mini-Me. Bath time." "No bath," little Harry protested, but allowed himself to be carried upstairs. While bathing his younger self, still a surreal experience even after months of it, Harry couldn't help wondering what the adults were discussing. The news about Voldemort wasn't surprising, exactly. Dumbledore had warned them that the Dark Lord would find ways to cling to life, possibly by possessing willing hosts, until his Horcruxes were destroyed. But it was the first concrete evidence they'd had of his continued existence since Halloween. And it sent a chill down Harry's spine. By the time he brought little Harry back downstairs, cleaned and dressed in overalls and a tiny Gryffindor t-shirt, Sirius's gift, the adults had moved to the living room. Their serious expressions told Harry the news hadn't improved. "Everything okay?" he asked, setting little Harry down with his toys. James patted the sofa beside him. "Come sit, Harry. We need to talk." Those words never meant anything good. Harry's stomach clenched as he sat. "Dumbledore's calling an emergency order meeting tonight," James explained. "With Voldemort showing signs of activity, we need to accelerate our plans." "What plans?" Harry asked. Lily and James exchanged glances. "Dumbledore believes we need to retrieve all the Horcruxes as quickly as possible," Lily said carefully. "Before Voldemort regains enough strength to protect them better. That means some of us will need to travel," Sirius added. "We think he's hidden them in significant magical locations around Britain, possibly Europe." "You're leaving?" Harry asked, his voice smaller than he intended. "Not me," James said quickly. "Sirius and Remus are taking the lead on the cup we think is in Gringotts. Bill Weasley's helping them. And I'll be working with Dumbledore on research," Lily added. "But we'll both be home every night." Harry nodded, relieved but still unsettled. What about me?" "Both of me, I mean." That's actually the other thing we need to discuss, James said, running a hand through his perpetually messy hair. Dumbledore has concerns about your scar. Harry's hand went to his forehead instinctively. What about it? The connection it gives you to Voldemort, Lily explained gently. As he grows stronger, the connection might too. My nightmares, Harry realized. The ones about Albania. Sirius leaned forward. You've been seeing Albania specifically? You didn't mention that before. Harry shrugged uncomfortably. Just forests. Dark caves. I heard someone speaking a language I didn't understand. I just guessed it might be Albania because of what Dumbledore said. The adults exchanged concerned glances. That confirms it, then, Sirius said grimly. He's definitely there. Harry, these visions, the connection itself, Dumbledore believes it might be dangerous, Lily said gently. Not just for you, but potentially for all of us. If Voldemort realizes the connection exists, he might be able to use it, James added. Maybe even see through your eyes, access your thoughts. Harry felt sick. So I'm, what? A security risk? No. Lily said firmly. You're our son, and we're going to protect you. That's why Dumbledore wants to start teaching you occlumency. What's that? Mind protection, Sirius explained. Magic that shields your thoughts from external influence or intrusion. Is it hard? Harry asked skeptically. Extremely, Sirius admitted. Usually only adult wizards can master it. But your case is special, and Dumbledore thinks starting early might help. When do I start? That's part of what we'll discuss at tonight's meeting, James said. But probably soon. Harry nodded, trying to process everything. The brief peace they'd enjoyed was ending. Reality, the reality of being Harry Potter, of having Voldemort as an enemy, was reasserting itself. There's something else, he said slowly, a thought that had been haunting him for weeks. What if me being here is making things worse? The original timeline, the one I came from, Voldemort disappeared for years, right? After he tried to kill me as a baby? Lily's expression tightened. At the cost of our lives, Harry. That's not a price we're willing to pay. But what if he's stronger now because I changed things? What if he comes back sooner because of me? James shook his head firmly. We don't know that. And even if it's true, we're better prepared this time. We know about the Horcruxes. We have Dumbledore and the Order ready and watching. Most importantly, we're together. As a family. Harry wanted desperately to believe him. But the weight of responsibility, of knowing his actions had changed the course of history, sometimes felt crushing. Hey, Sirius nudged him gently. Nobody blamed you for what happened on Halloween. In fact, you saved everyone. That broken time turner did more damage to Voldemort than anyone's managed in years. Speaking of which, Lily added, Dumbledore's been studying the fragments. He thinks there might be more to learn from them. That caught Harry's attention. Like what? Not sure yet, James admitted. But Dumbledore doesn't pursue things without good reason. The conversation was interrupted by a crash as little Harry accidentally knocked over a lamp with his toy broomstick, a birthday present from Sirius that hovered a safe foot above the ground but still managed to cause chaos. The mundane crisis of calming a suddenly wailing toddler broke the tension, and Harry was grateful for the distraction. As Lily repaired the lamp with a flick of her wand and James swept little Harry into a distracting game of airplane, life felt normal again. But Harry couldn't shake the feeling that something fundamental had shifted. Voldemort was moving again. And somehow, Harry knew this was just the beginning. The Order meeting that night was held at Hogwarts, in Dumbledore's office. Harry had been to the magical school a few times now, but it still filled him with wonder, the moving staircases, the talking portraits, the sheer sense of ancient magic that permeated the stone walls. Keep up, Harry, James called, as they climbed yet another staircase. Dumbledore's expecting us at 8 sharp. Harry hurried after his parents. Little Harry had been left with Bathilda Bagshot, who doted on the toddler. Despite the seriousness of the meeting, Harry couldn't help feeling excited to be included. At the Dursleys, he'd never been included in anything important. They reached the gargoyle guarding Dumbledore's office, and James gave the password, "Acid Pops." The stone creature leapt aside, revealing a spiral staircase that moved upward like an escalator. The headmaster's office was already crowded when they entered. Harry recognized several order members, Mad-Eye Moody in the corner, looking suspicious as always, Professor McGonagall by the fireplace, the Weasleys, who had become friends over the past months, and Remus, deep in conversation with a young witch with spiky purple hair. Dumbledore himself sat behind his desk, his long silver beard gleaming in the candlelight. His blue eyes twinkled as they landed on Harry. "Ah, the Potters. Welcome. We're nearly ready to begin." Harry followed his parents to some empty chairs, feeling the curious stares of those who hadn't met him before. His status as a time traveler wasn't widely known outside their immediate circle. Most people had been told he was a cousin's child the Potters had adopted after a family tragedy. When everyone had settled, Dumbledore rose. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice. I'm afraid recent developments require our immediate attention." He waved his wand, and a map appeared in midair, hovering over the center of the room. Several locations were marked with glowing red dots. "As some of you already know, we have confirmed reports of Voldemort's presence in Albania." He indicated one of the red dots. "He remains disembodied but has been possessing local wizards for brief periods, a sign his strength is returning." Murmurs ran through the gathered order members. "How long until he can maintain a possession?" Moody growled. "Or create a new body entirely?" Arthur Weasley added. "That depends," Dumbledore said gravely, "on how quickly we can locate and destroy these." He waved his wand again, and images of several objects appeared beside the map, a cup, a locket, a diadem, and beside them, images of the diary and ring they'd already destroyed. Horcruxes, Dumbledore explained for those who didn't know. Objects containing fragments of Voldemort's soul. While these exist, he cannot truly die. "How many are there?" McGonagall asked sharply. "Based on magical theory and what we know of Tom Riddle's obsession with significant numbers, I believe he intended to split his soul into 7 parts, 6 Horcruxes plus the piece in his body." "And you've destroyed 2? The purple-haired witch spoke up. "Yes, Nymphadora," Dumbledore nodded. "Tonks, please," she corrected with a grimace. "Just Tonks." "The diary was found at Malfoy Manor during a ministry raid," Dumbledore continued. "The ring was hidden in the Gaunt family home. Both have been destroyed using fiendfire under controlled conditions." "What about the others?" Remus asked. "We have strong leads on 3 more, Dumbledore indicated the images. Helga Hufflepuff's cup, which we believe is in the Lestrange vault at Gringotts. Salazar Slytherin's locket, which has proven more elusive but may be connected to a cave Tom visited in his youth. And Rowena Ravenclaw's diadem, which I suspect may be hidden here at Hogwarts itself." "And the 6th?" Moody asked. Dumbledore hesitated, his eyes flickering briefly to Harry before returning to the group. "Unclear. But 5 will be enough to substantially weaken him." Harry frowned. That hesitation, that glance, they meant something. But before he could think about it further, Dumbledore continued. "We will divide into teams. Bill Weasley, Sirius, and Remus will continue their work on accessing the Lestrange vault legally through goblin channels. Alastor, Arthur, and Tonks will investigate the cave location. Minerva and I will search Hogwarts for the diadem." "What about us?" James asked, indicating himself and Lily. "You have perhaps the most important job of all," Dumbledore said. "Protecting young Harry, both versions of him." Harry couldn't help feeling disappointed. Were his parents being sidelined because of him? Dumbledore seemed to read his thoughts. The protection that saved Harry in the original timeline, Lily's sacrifice, created a powerful blood magic. That protection still exists within him, though it manifests differently now. It may be our most powerful weapon against Voldemort. But if he can't touch Harry, why do we need to find the Horcruxes? Molly Weasley asked. Because the protection isn't absolute, Lily explained. It prevented him from killing Harry as a baby, but it won't stop him from hurting others, or from finding ways around it eventually. Precisely, Dumbledore nodded. Now, as for Harry's training in occlumency. Harry sat up straighter, trying to look mature and capable. I had initially thought to teach him myself, Dumbledore continued, but upon reflection, I believe his connection to Voldemort makes that unwise. If Voldemort should glimpse my mind through Harry's, even momentarily, he'd gain too much information, Moody finished gruffly. Smart thinking, Albus. Who, then? Lily asked. It needs to be someone skilled, someone we trust completely. I've considered that carefully, Dumbledore replied. And I believe our best option is Professor Snape. Harry had never seen his father's face change so quickly. Snape? James sputtered. You can't be serious. Severus is a master occlumens, Dumbledore said calmly. Perhaps the most skilled I've ever encountered. And his loyalty is beyond question. To you, maybe, Sirius muttered. But teaching James's son? He'll hate every minute, and make sure Harry does too. Harry looked between them in confusion. Who's Professor Snape? An uncomfortable silence fell. Finally, Lily answered, her voice careful. Severus Snape is the potions master here at Hogwarts. He and I were friends as children, but he and your father didn't get along at school. Didn't get along? Sirius snorted. That's putting it mildly. Ancient history, Dumbledore said firmly. Severus has proven his loyalty repeatedly since joining our side. And his skills are precisely what Harry needs. There must be someone else, James insisted. I'm afraid not, Dumbledore said. Not with the necessary skill level who can be spared from our other missions. James looked like he wanted to argue further, but Lily placed a hand on his arm. If Severus is our best option for keeping Harry safe, we need to consider it, she said quietly. Harry watched his father struggle visibly with this before finally nodding stiffly. Fine. But I want to be present for every lesson. That would defeat the purpose, Dumbledore pointed out gently. Harry needs to learn to defend his mind without external support. I'll do it, Harry said suddenly. All eyes turned to him. If this Professor Snape can teach me to block Voldemort, I want to learn. I don't care if he doesn't like me. Pride flickered in Dumbledore's eyes. Well said, Harry. I believe twice-weekly lessons would be appropriate, beginning next week. The meeting continued, covering logistics, schedules, and contingency plans. Harry tried to follow everything, but the complexity of the Order's operations was sometimes overwhelming. One thing was clear, though, they were preparing for war. As the meeting wound down, Dumbledore asked Harry to stay behind for a moment. James and Lily exchanged glances but nodded their agreement. We'll wait for you in the corridor, Lily told Harry. Don't be too long. When the office had emptied except for Harry and the headmaster, Dumbledore moved to a cabinet and removed a small wooden box. I wanted to show you something, Harry, he said, placing the box on his desk. Something I've been studying most carefully these past months. He opened the box to reveal the shattered remains of the Time Turner. The golden pieces no longer glowed, and the once magical sand looked like ordinary dust. When this device broke against Voldemort, it did something extraordinary, Dumbledore explained. The temporal magic contained within it interacted with the fractured state of his soul in a way I'm still trying to understand. It hurt him, Harry said. I saw it burning through him like he was allergic to it or something. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled. An apt description. I believe the Time Turner's magic forced his soul, or what remains of it in his primary form, to experience all moments of its existence simultaneously. Past, present, future, collapsed into an unbearable singularity. Harry frowned, trying to grasp the concept. So he felt everything he'd ever done all at once. That sounds awful. Indeed. For a being who has committed such atrocities, experiencing them all simultaneously would be beyond torment. Dumbledore picked up a fragment of the Time Turner thoughtfully. But more significantly, I believe it created a temporal disruption in Voldemort himself. He now exists slightly out of phase with normal time. What does that mean? It means he will find it more difficult to affect the physical world, Dumbledore explained. His possessions will be weaker, more temporary. His magic less effective. Until he can fully anchor himself again, likely through a complete physical rebirth, he remains vulnerable. Is that why we have time to find the Horcruxes? Because he's out of phase. Precisely. Dumbledore looked impressed. Your understanding is remarkable for one so young. Harry shrugged, embarrassed by the praise. So why are you telling me this? Just so I know. Partially, Dumbledore admitted. But also because I believe you still have a unique role to play. The Time Turner responded to you in ways it shouldn't have been able to. It brought you back years rather than hours. It reactivated after seemingly burning out. It protected you and your family on Halloween. You think I can use it somehow? Even though it's broken? Not use it, exactly. But understand it. Connect with it. Dumbledore carefully removed a single golden shard and offered it to Harry. I'd like you to keep this. Study it. See if you notice anything unusual when you handle it. Harry accepted the piece cautiously. It felt warm against his palm, but nothing extraordinary happened. What should I be looking for? Trust your instincts, Dumbledore said cryptically. They've served you well so far. Harry pocketed the shard, feeling both important and confused. Is that all, sir? Nearly. There's one more matter we should discuss. Dumbledore's expression grew serious. Your scar and its connection to Voldemort. Harry's hand went to his forehead. The occlumency is supposed to help with that, right? Yes, but there's something you should understand about the nature of the connection itself. Dumbledore seemed to be choosing his words with great care. When Voldemort tried to kill you as a baby, in the original timeline, something unprecedented occurred. The killing curse rebounded, but not without consequences. What kind of consequences? I believe that when the curse rebounded, a fragment of Voldemort's soul, already unstable from his previous Horcrux creations, broke off and attached itself to the only living thing present, you. Harry stared at the headmaster in horror. There's a piece of Voldemort in me. In my scar. I cannot be certain, Dumbledore said quickly. But it would explain the connection, the visions, the pain you feel in his presence. Can you remove it? Harry asked desperately. Dumbledore's silence was answer enough. So I'm a Horcrux. Harry felt sick. I'm the sixth Horcrux you wouldn't talk about in the meeting. Not exactly, Dumbledore said. A true Horcrux is created intentionally, through specific dark rituals. What happened with you was an accident, a result of Voldemort's already severely damaged soul and the protective magic your mother invoked with her sacrifice. But if he can't be defeated while the Horcruxes exist, and I'm one of them. Harry couldn't bring himself to finish the thought. That is why I've been studying the Time Turner so carefully, Dumbledore explained. Your situation is unique, Harry. You exist twice in this timeline, once as a baby, protected by your mother's sacrifice, and once as yourself, having traveled through time. The temporal magic that surrounds you may provide an alternative solution. What kind of solution? I'm not entirely sure yet, Dumbledore admitted. But I believe it's significant that the fragment of the Time Turner reacts to you. It may be possible to use that connection to start the story's next chapter. The end. Thank you for watching this video. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video.